Vivek don't need the money. That's another reason why they hated Trump, why they hate Trump, because he's like, I don't need your money.
Single day voting on election day as a national holiday with paper ballots, government issued ID to match the voter file, and English as the sole language that appears on a ballot in this country. At a certain point, just shut the Van Jones at CNN.
Mic drop.
You ready to talk some truth? Let's get real. I'm gonna do a little bit of this, and then I'm actually going to do something a little different. We're going to open this up, so get ready. A few of you, I'm going to ask you to come up here, take the second half of this 45 minutes. I'm not going to speak at you the whole time. We're going to have a conversation, all right? I want to get into something right away. I was going to give you guys a regular campaign speech. I'm not going to do that. Okay. Let's get to some truth. My views are a product of my experiences, all right? I didn't come out of the birth canal spouting conservative talking points. I was a libertarian for a while. I came to my views. This is beyond the Republican Party. These are views of our America First movement based on what I have seen, my experiences. I'll tell you what I mean. If you had told me 3 years ago, when I was a biotech CEO, that the U.S. government had not told us the truth about what happened on 9/11, I would have told you that you were crazy. You're a fringe conspiracy theorist. Well, what do we know? In 2021, declassified documents that show us that the 9/11 Commission lied to us, the FBI lied to us, that the 42-year-old graduate student, a guy by the name of Omar al-Bayoumi, I'm not making this stuff up. This is hard facts now, available for the public to see.
Allegedly. That's what I'm going to see. You, man, don't get me in trouble, man.
Who received two of the first hijackers at LAX airport at the age of 42, housed them, helped them open their bank accounts, helped them get housing, helped them in this country, who say he was just an innocent graduate student who happened to meet them randomly at LAX airport. They told us that this guy was just a graduate student. We now know 20 years later that he was absolutely a Saudi intelligence agent, and that our own government, more importantly, lied to us about it. I would have said that was crazy. Now you fast forward. You told me 3 years ago, when I was a biotech CEO, that the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot in Michigan was an inside job of entrapment. I would have told you that was crazy. Crazy talk. Doesn't make any sense. Well, what do we now know? At the trial, years later, turns out that the militia organization that supposedly organized it was at least a third infiltrated by Fed informants and feds. And the very people who were taken to trial were acquitted on grounds of entrapment. A guy who had to be given $5,000 credit cards to be able to be put up to do something that he otherwise wouldn't do. And then that the Detroit head of that FBI field office was the same person in late 2020 who Christopher Wray pulls in to become the D.C. field office head ahead of what happened on January 6th. Not making this up. You can't make this stuff up. So if you had told me 3 years ago that January 6th was an inside job of entrapment, I would have told you that that was crazy talk. Go into the facts, we realize that it's not. We have a government that has systematically lied to its people. This is the disease at the heart of our American democracy. Our democracy. They'll talk about what's going on in our democracy. We have a disease of dishonesty in our government. Take what continued to happen on January 6th. They released the footage of what happens when people respond after what they didn't show you, of rubber bullets and tear gas being foisted onto a crowd of what were mostly peaceful protesters. Then them rolling out the red carpet for people walking into the Capitol that day. That wasn't released. You have a government that the same one that told you that the COVID-19 pandemic began in a wet market in China, now we know that our own government was using our own money to pay for the creation of a man-made virus in a lab that then came back to kill not only people in this country, but the same people who did it were the ones who engineered and paid through crony capitalism for the creation of the vaccines to fight that very man-made virus. If you had told me this 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you, but I now have my views that are a product of my experiences. We got to open our eyes to see that disease of dishonesty. The same government that has lied to us about not only what happened on 9/11, but the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Bruh, don't get me in trouble, man. Listen, Vivek, brother, thought he was cool, man. Don't get me in trouble, all right? It's unfortunate that the truth can get someone into a bad situation. Shouldn't we all be privy to this information that he's giving out? Shouldn't we all want the truth? Well, unfortunately, the powers that be do not want you to see their dirty draws, okay? They don't want us to smell their funky fart.
About the basis for the 2008 bailouts and the financial crisis, about the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that never was, about the Hunter Biden laptop story, which we absolutely know to be true, about exactly what happened on January 6th, to the origin of COVID-19, to the Nashville transgender shooter manifesto, to how our own money is being spent in Ukraine today. We demand a government that tells us the truth again in this country. That's what we require. We can handle the truth. That's what it means to be a citizen of this country.
He said we can handle the truth. But they try to treat us like babies, man. And no, they're trying to get over on us. So they only tell us what they want us to know. And that's it. Because in order for us to be fully indoctrinated, we have to follow exactly what they spoon feed us. So if we don't follow what they spoon feed us, then we become part of the problem. And we become silenced. Or we become silenced. You know what I mean? I know y'all picking up what I'm putting down.
So I say that on that last debate stage to a bunch of Republicans that are shaking in their boots. These are the things you're not supposed to say in the Republican Party even today. And then you get the mainstream media. You got this character, Van Jones, on CNN afterwards saying, this is the rise of an American demagogue who's going to live 50 years longer than Trump. This is dangerous. I am shaking. That's what he says. Just shut the fuck up. At a certain point, just shut the fuck up.
Ooh.
Van Jones at CNN.
Mic drop. He could have dropped the mic and walk off the stage right there. Boom. Pow. 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 And just walked off the stage. Van Jones. Y'all hear me? Huh? Can y'all hear me in the back? Okay, I'm about to say something to Van Jones. Y'all ready? Huh? Okay. I say, Van Jones, you need to shut the up, nigga.
And I think you got to ask yourself, why am I the only candidate in this race who can say certain things? That January 6th was the product of entrapment, that our money is being sent to persecute Christians from Ukraine to Armenia, something you're not supposed to talk about, to the fact that the climate change agenda is a hoax because it has nothing to do with the climate and everything to do with China.
Wow.
The only person in this race who can say that Ronna McDaniel should resign as the failed chairwoman of the RNC. Get the hell out of our house. We're done.
He want all the smoke.
The only person who can stay with a straight face that the likes of Nikki Haley or any other neocon is not coming within spitting distance of my administration. As a VP or otherwise, we got to speak the truth of who we are. And that's
For everybody, got to keep on saying that Vivek will be great on Trump's cabinet. He's not thinking about being on Trump's cabinet, man. I'm trying to tell you about I be trying to tell y'all, he's talking about his own situation. That's it. He's on stage talking about whether or not he's going to hire Nikki Haley. If I don't even know, I'm not going to give her no job. She's not going to be my VP. She's not going to be on my cabinet. None of that. None of that.
That's the thing. You ever seen that movie, A Few Good Men? What does that guy say at the end? You can't handle the truth. No, we the people, we can handle the truth. We demand the truth. We require the truth. That's who we are. That's what it means to be an American. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to wage some pointless foreign war that is Iraq 2.0, Afghanistan 2.0, where we sent thousands of America's sons and daughters, people my age, to go die so corrupt politicians could make millions for themselves, spending billions, killing millions. This is wrong. It's not going to happen on my watch. The war I am going to wage. Thank you. It's our generation, your generation, that's going to end up in Ukraine or some other godforsaken place if we don't put an end to this. The war I'm going to wage is a war on our own shadow government right here in the United States of America. That's the war we require. And we are in the middle of a war in this country. You can't win a war unless you know that you're in one. It's not a war between black and white, as the media or Van Jones or whoever would teach you to believe. It's not a war even between Democrat and Republican. Frankly, both parties are corrupt. It is deeper than...
Thank you, bruh. Did y'all hear what he said? Frankly, both parties are corrupt. Because they all operate off their own biases. They have their own agendas. Now, some people, you're going to have some people who come out of it who are like, nah, none of this is right. None of this is right. Am I still conservative? Absolutely. But the way that y'all are running things is wrong, and I'm calling all of you out. Anybody that can do that, I'm with it. 1,000%. Because it shows me that they are fair. In an unfair world, they are at least trying, making an attempt to be fair, even if that means ruining the way that other people look at them, ruining business for them and everything.
Than that.
I'm with it.
It is a war between the managerial class and the everyday citizen. It is a war between the Great Reset and the Great Uprising. It is a war between those of us who love the United States of America and our founding ideals, who believe that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those of us who believe that you get ahead in this country not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. Those of us who believe in free speech, that you get to speak your mind as long as I get to in return. Those of us who...
You hear that, right? You get to speak your mind as long as I get to in return. That's fair. That's a fair trade right there. Not you don't get to speak your mind because it'll hurt my feelings. Not that I can't say certain things or it's going to hurt your feelings or get me canceled. No, I should still be able to speak my mind as long as I understand that you also should be able to speak your mind.
The backbone of the greatest nation known to mankind. That even though we are an imperfect nation, as the left will remind us, we are founded on the pursuit of a more perfect union. The pursuit of liberty, equality, and justice for all, with one standard of the rule of law in this country for all Americans. That is one side of this war. And on the other side, we have this fringe minority who believes that your identity is based on your race, your gender, your sexuality. That if you're black, you're disadvantaged. That if you're white, you're privileged. Who believe that we have to stop burning carbon in this country, even as we shift those same carbon emissions to places like China. Who believe that maybe we can use our own military to protect somebody else's border in God knows where, halfway around the world. But somehow if you use our own military to protect our own border, somehow that means you're racist or you're xenophobic or you're a bigot. And by the way, if you disagree with any of what I've just said, that automatically means that you're a homophobe or a transphobe or a racist or a climate denier. at a point in our history where there's no greater damnation than to be called one of these things, which has created a new culture of fear in our country. And that is the other side of this war. I call this a war. I want you to understand this. I'm not using this word lightly. I call this a war because there's no middle ground here. See, I'm debating tax rates on a given year. Fine, we can have that debate, but there's no middle ground in this war. Either you believe in merit or you believe in group quotas. You cannot have both. Either you believe in free speech or you believe in censorship. You cannot have both. Either you believe in American exceptionalism or you believe in apologizing for who we are as a country. You cannot have both of those things at the same time. And right now, we need leaders who will lead us to victory in this war.
It's very difficult to tell a country filled with spoiled, entitled, scrambled-minded individuals that they can't have something. This whole argument circles back to our biases sometimes. You ever heard of the artist Sexy Red? Brown, Pound Town? Her coochie pink, her booty hole brown? Yeah, that's a huge song. That was invited to a middle school to come perform? Yeah, absolutely. I understand that 1,000%. The older you get, you're like, okay, we need to, why are we even listening to her? She need to be quiet. She need to shut the hell up. Why are they even playing her on the radio? This, that, and other. Well, it's free speech. Can't have free speech and censorship. So we can't censor her. And I know that's a little far-fetched. You know, we're talking about what could negatively affect our youth, but we allow them to listen to it. That's our fault. You know what I mean? Somebody can cook the crack, cook all the crack they want, but they're not going to force you to smoke it. They're not going to force you to buy it. They're not going to force you to come up to their block and be like, hey man, you got something? I got $20. You got something? I ain't got 50, man. How about you take this car and it's $20? All right, that'll work. Crackheads are the worst negotiators in the world, okay? That's
requires somebody who knows what time it is, that you're in a war. You can't win one unless you're asleep, if you're asleep at the switch. It's going to require somebody who can't be bought and paid for by that system. I'll tell you, I'm a businessman. I did not come from this world of politics, and I thought it was going to be pretty ugly when I came in here. About a year in now, I got to tell you, I was wrong. It is far uglier than I ever imagined. Every one of these politicians basically is dancing to the tune of their biggest donor. All right?
Wow. Put y'all on blast, bro.
In my case, that biggest donor is me. I'm not going to be somebody's circus monkey, somebody's pawn on a chessboard. Sorry, we're not playing that game. I'll be really honest with you. I would rather lose this election and speak the truth than to win by playing some carefully crafted snakes and ladders and being somebody's slave. Not going to be somebody's slave, I'm sorry. But the reason I'm here, I came here from Iowa to be here.
I love that he said that. It's very difficult to do. Now, it's very easy to say. It's very easy to say. But unfortunately, not all of us are in his position. So, being that not all of us are in his position, some of these politicians, they need financing in order to move forward. I don't understand why it works that way, but it just works that way. They chose to be in a donor heavy type of career. It just is what it is. So they will lean toward the person that gives them the most money. And unfortunately, some of those people that give them the most money aren't level-headed. They don't really have a full grasp of what's required to turn this country around. They just have their own desires and needs, and they have not only their own, but the people who work under them. So they're working as a company and trying to get the best for their brand and their company, and they're going to provide it to whoever's willing to take it. And unfortunately, a lot of these politicians, they are willing to take it because they need that money. Vivek don't need the money. That's another reason why they hated Trump, why they hate Trump, because he's like, I don't need your money. I don't need your money. And once politicians realize that, you become an enemy of the state, because the people who usually make the decisions from behind the scenes, allegedly, are the ones with the money. They just are. And it's starting to come out. It's starting to be it's starting to be blatant. Like, we're starting to see it over and over and over again where we didn't see it before. Like, but the veil is being pulled from our eyes, and people are being uncovered, and we're starting to see things for what they actually are.
I wasn't going to miss this when Charlie called me. I'll tell you why. It is going to take leaders from the next generation with fresh legs to lead this country forward. That's what it's going to take our America First movement to the next level. That's what this is going to take. We got to answer who we are. What does it mean to be an American today? What does it mean to put this country first? We're all in for America First, but we got to answer what America is. What does it mean to be a citizen of this nation today? To me, it means that we believe in the ideals that our founding fathers gave us 250 years ago. The 1776 ideals that set this country into motion. We're living in a modern American revolution right now. We live in a 1776 moment. It means we do believe that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character. That's why I'm going to end affirmative action and racial quota systems in every area of American life. It is a cancer on our national soul, and we are done with it. What does it mean to be an American? It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will use our own military to secure our own southern border and our northern border too. That's what it means to stand for the rule of law in the United States of America. We will end federal funding for sanctuary cities across this country. End birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants. It was never supposed to apply. And yes, we will make English the shared national language of the United States of America. We should not apologize for that. That is who we are. We have a common language to communicate our ideals to one another. It means that we, the people, create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. That the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not the shadow government and the three-letter agencies that run the show today. So whoever your next president is, if I'm your next president, if those people can't report, if I can't work for you all for more than 8 years, which I think is a good thing in this country, then neither should any of those federal bureaucrats reporting into me either. 8-year term limits for the bureaucracy instead of those civil service protections.
He on fire. He on fire.
75% mass firing of every federal bureaucrat. Shut down government agencies that should no longer exist. From the failed Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, to the ATF, to the CDC, to the U.S. Department of Education. We're getting in there, and we will shut it down.
That's why Van Jones don't like you. That's why Van Jones is shaking in his boots right now. Huh? That's why his drawers won't pause. That made no sense.
That is how you revive the integrity of a republic. What does it mean to be American? It means we have elections we can trust and believe in. Single day voting on election day as a national holiday with paper ballots, government issued ID to match the voter file, and English as the sole language that appears on a ballot in this country. That is not controversial. That is common sense. That is what it means to be a citizen of this nation.
Sounds like common sense to me. Sounds like common sense to me. It sounds like common sense to me. It comes off as racist to some. Not sure why, but it does. It's ridiculous.
USA, 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 USA. Damn right it is. USA first. These are not black ideas or white ideas.
Go ahead, bro. Go
These
ahead, bro.
aren't even Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. They're both.
All right, so unfortunately, I got to go ahead and end this right now because I got to go to my meeting. I don't want to be disrespectful to those who are waiting. Now, guys, if you are considering growing a YouTube channel and you are following the LFR family, listen to me. I know some things, I've learned some things, and I would love to help you if you are willing to invest your time into doing so. So hit me up with the word coach, or as Bad Intro says, email me at van.hall@lfrfamily.com.